Welcome again to Cottage Talk. This is another episode of View from the Hammersmith End. And in this episode, we're going to talk about what the guys watched at Craven Cottage on Saturday. I think they saw something pretty special with a late victory on a goal from Harry Wilson to give Fulham the victory. It should be fun to talk about in this episode. Also want to mention, as always, please do subscribe on the Cottage Talk Patreon page, because this episode will be exclusive as a podcast on there. So just want to mention that as well. Please do subscribe to Cottage Talk Patreon page. I've got a few people that have subscribed lately. Thank you very much for doing that. All right, guys, let's get to just opening thoughts. Kamal, I'll go to you first. How are you doing, my friend? Kamal, you there? Okay. Oh,
yeah, I'm here. There we go.
Okay. Okay.
I'm good. I don't know. Did we turn up in time? I came with a friend of mine, an American from Boston.
Okay.
Who, Greg. I don't know if he's watching this, but he was hyper excited because every time he goes see Fulham play, he says he gets rewarded by the atmosphere in the Hammy End, and he's having to relearn English when he's listening to people talk there.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, it was a very exciting match considering what's happened over the last few weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so I got this question already to start the show. This is from someone I think that knows Kamal. He says, the big question for the show, did Kamal see the second goal or had he left the stadium by then?
We're talking about the Brentford goal. No, I didn't. This happened a couple of weeks ago in our last one. And I don't think, when we were losing, I decided, I think it was I will never leave another game in the last 5 minutes. I won't ever leave in the last 10 minutes. I'll always stay to see Fulham complete a game.
Okay. That was from your brother. Okay. Very good.
Do that.
Watching as always. All right. Matt, how you doing? Welcome back to the show.
Hey Russ, congrats on the Patriots.
Thank you.
I turned over for about 5 minutes. It's not really my thing. I saw you guys miss a field goal in a blizzard, and then I thought this has got too long to go. I'm going to bed. I had a fabulous weekend. There's nothing quite like a 90th minute winner, and especially it's one where we could see it coming from. Everyone was ready. Everyone knew what was going to happen. It was going to be a free kick shot on goal, and that man Harry Wilson, who just turns everything to gold. All we need him to do is sign the contract, and this will have just been the greatest season in Wilson's career so far, and he's got quite a big game coming up in March. It'd be remiss of me not to say he's
that's
big
good.
Wales playoff, but amazing stuff.
I have to ask you this. I was going to talk about it when we talk about the goal, but was there any doubt who was going to take it? Because it seemed like there was a little bit of a discussion between him and Raul. How about you guys?
Yeah, I definitely think that played on the keeper's mind, because Raul, he hit one in pre-season. He's had a couple in for Mexico this season. I think one of them against the US, in fact, if I'm not mistaken, in pre-season friendlies. Raul has a free kick on him as much as Wilson does, based on recent years. I think Wilson got a couple one against North Macedonia, and then another one against someone else for Wales. They're both very eligible to take it, and how blessed we are to have that choice. So yeah, definitely, we weren't sure who was going to take it.
Okay, very good. Alex, welcome back to the show. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Good to be back, Russ. Thank you.
Okay, great. Well, listen, we have a lot to get to in regards to talking to you guys about the match. Let's start before the match. That's how I always like to start these shows. So, Alex, I'll go right back to you. What was the talk before the match in regards to, before we talk about the starting 11, just how are you feeling before the match? You can give me your prediction too. What were you thinking?
I said 2-1 Fulham. I called it from the start.
Wow, you're with me. I said
yeah. So I often am, Russ, but yeah. I called it. I mean, what I think the big chat before the game was that table. The table looks so tight. It's you could see we could get up to 7th, down to 13th, I think. So it just made it a massive game. I think most of us were kind of upbeat. Not everybody, were we, Matt? But
but I'll go to Matt next.
We've got a great record against Brighton at home. I don't think they've ever beaten us in the Premier League at the Cottage. So Yeah, so no, I was confident. Starting lineup, well, Lukic was injured, so I guess it kind of picked us out. I mean, no, Bassi was the big surprise, I suppose, not coming straight back into the team with Cuenca there. But Cuenca's done great while he's away, and it does give again the message which I've always said Marco's so good at doing, which is if you play well, you keep your spot. So so I think no complaints from me for the starting lineup, and it was looking a bit bleak at halftime, but happy days in the end.
Okay, very good. Okay, Matt, over to you. What was your score prediction? And then we can go to you with the starting 11 as well.
I thought it was going to be a draw, so I predicted 1-1.
Okay.
Which it's not like, I mean, it's a little more pessimistic than the 2-1, but it's not like I was miles off. Like anyone who says that we absolutely deserve to win that 2-1, I think has been drinking a couple of cups of Fulham wine. And
you were right till very late in the game as well.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, no, he was right.
So on the starting lineup, it was exactly as I thought it needed to be. I think the Cuenca and Kevin over Chukwueze and Bassi were really, as Alex says, I think they were squad mentality decisions rather than anything else. I think the relative destructiveness of saying to Cuenca, thanks very much for helping out, but Bassi's back now, and AFCON's in 4 years' time, maybe you can have a go, then would have been bad. And I think we're all desperate, Marco more than most, for Kevin to just hit a rich seam of form, because it does feel a bit like of all of our really interesting winger options, the one that we've invested the most money in and who's definitely going to be here next season is the one that can't do anything.
Sure.
We've got Harry Wilson and Chukwueze, neither of whom are at the moment contracted to be with us next season, and Alex Iwobi playing in midfield, and Adama Traore off to West Ham United. So, it's we need to make that investment work, and I think it was right to give Kevin another go. He didn't step into it, but we'll come on to that.
Okay, and listen, I was thinking about this. I'm glad that you brought up Kevin, because we've talked a lot about this, Matt, and then I'll go over to Kamal just to follow up on his struggles. And I've used Smith Rowe as an example. I'm going to use a completely different player as an example of how each player comes into their own at different times in the Premier League. I'm actually, before we go live, I'm watching a player that happens to be an American player that 3 years ago, Leeds United, the supporters hated. And his name's Brenden Aaronson. Brenden Aaronson, if you watch him now, looks like a completely different player. It took a long time for him to get there. I'm hoping it doesn't take 3 years for Kevin. But I'm just saying, every player develops in a different time frame whenever they pick it up. I believe Kevin will come good, but it's a difficult one, because how do you keep starting him now that you have Chukwueze back?
Yeah, and I don't think he will. So I agree. I mean, I'd probably not take the route that Leeds have taken with Brenden Aaronson and getting relegated and then coming back. But I agree with you. He's a really good advert for perseverance and a little bit of faith being placed in him by the manager. And he looks lively at the moment. He's really, really good this evening from what I saw of that game. I think Kevin, I imagine he'll be dropped against United, and I think will probably welcome stepping out of the rotation and the starting lineup pressure a little bit, and hopefully he will become a really good impact sub, and then will be a little bit more comfortable to seize his opportunity when it comes about, through injury or rotation, maybe later in the season.
Right, and I don't think it's a bad thing, honestly. Matt, that he comes off the bench. I don't think this is going to shake his confidence. I actually think it's probably going to benefit him to learn the league.
Well,
and
you have to. I agree. You have to assume that that's what we're going to do with Oscar Bob, right? All the guidance is that Oscar Bob's going to sign, and Wilson, is still someone we're trying to pin down to a contract. We're not trying to sign Oscar Bob to go straight into the starting lineup ahead of Wilson. And
no, absolutely not.
Very, very unlikely he's going to go into a position he hasn't played at club level more than a handful of games in behind Raul, where we've got Smith Rowe, who we're trying to rehabilitate into a an every week starting player, or Josh King, who we're trying to turn into one. So the longer term investment, I think, is something that we're committed to.
And that's actually very encouraging. And I'm glad that you talked about Marco, because I think the way that he's been acting in the press is very different than, say, a month ago. He sounds like he's talking long term. That's why the contract thing is interesting, that nothing has come of it, because he does not sound like a manager, coach, head coach, whichever way you want to call him, That's leaving. He just does not sound like that. It sounds positive, but until anything's official, we shall see. Kamal, how are you doing? And give me your thoughts before the match. What's your prediction, and also your thoughts on the starting 11?
Well, Alex, Alex is constantly disputing this. I go to see a match to see how it's played. I'm not Merlin. I'm not kind of looking at my crystal ball, but the pressure's always on with these guys. They always say, "What's your prediction?" And when Matt comes in, I always know not to choose his predictions. And
very wise.
But he said something funny. You said a couple of things after the match today, which I'm going to bring up later, which are very smart.
Okay.
Which is funny too. But I said like 5 minutes after the game begun, 2-1 to Holly, and then Alex kept poking me at the end of the match. No, you didn't do that. I didn't hear you say it. I said, Alex, I don't tell you everything, man. You're too much on my case about these goals, But yeah, I mean, it was. I was looking to a fun match because I think that we've kind of beaten the relegation dilemma, and I also wanted to see how he could get some of our players to start playing together in such an exciting way. And I found it very interesting that some of the players that we really rely upon and we've been talking about as being fantastic for the last season, like Jedi and Berg, for me, had stinkers. I was not impressed by Berg at all. He just was folding so easily. And all of our subs played really well. And I found
made a difference.
Funny.
Made a huge difference. I'm glad that you mentioned that. We'll definitely dive into talking about Jedi during the show. We've been talking about him, and I don't know theory, when we've been talking about it on the show is he dealing with an injury? People keep asking me that, and it's quite possible. We talked about that in the post-match show. I don't know, but he certainly is not the same player right now, and it's a little bit of a concern. I that's just the way I look at it. I'm glad that you mentioned that, Kamal. All right, guys, let's get to talking about the first half and what you guys were talking about during the first half. So, Matt, I'll go to you first. I like just paint the picture for me because as we talked about on the post-match show yesterday, Tony was there along with you guys. The first 25 minutes seemed Fulham were on the front foot, and everything changes after the goal. We'll talk about the goals separately. But were you encouraged by, say, the first opening stages of this match?
Yes and no. Look, I thought the game was exactly as we thought it was going to be, which was a really close game between two teams that wanted to play football out from the back. It was ironic in the end that the long ball over the top was actually quite a sort of key can opener for both teams.
Yeah.
The matchup I was most fearful of, you go into the game, worried about a one-on-one matchup, was probably Castagna against Matoma.
Yes.
Castagna started the game so badly. His first 4 touches were all in error, giving away corners where he didn't need to, or missing a tackle, or misplacing a pass. And I worried for him. I think he grew into the game a lot, but it felt like one of those games where it was very entertaining. It felt like a mistake or a moment of brilliance was going to settle it. And when the mistake came from Leno, and seeing it on TV, it doesn't look quite as bad as it felt in the ground. In the ground, honestly, we were all, that it felt like, as did our winning goal, which I know we'll come on to both of them.
Yep.
They both felt like goals that we used to see in the Championship, where basically if you get it on target and it's a pretty hard shot, the goalkeeper's probably going to let it in. In the Premiership, the goalkeepers are good enough to stop them, and I think Leno should have stopped that.
Okay.
I think he will look at that as a mistake that he made, just as happily their goalkeeper made up for it as well.
Sure, and I'll be talking about the goal, Alex. I'll go to you in 1 second. A quick follow-up on the goal itself. And again, this is coming from the broadcast I was watching, Tony Gale and the made announcer. And I don't know if they were excuse-making. So, again, this is why I like doing the show with you guys. They were factoring in the wind as being a reason why both of the goals from the goalkeepers, we're talking about the final goal and this goal, with this goal in itself could have been affected by the wind. I asked Tony, he basically discounted that totally. I'm asking you, how much of the wind was a factor here?
I don't.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll go to Alex. Go ahead.
Sorry, I don't think it was a factor at all. I think it was a zero factor.
Okay.
I mean, I'm with Matt. I mean, I think the thing with the goal is, it was. I do think it was Leno's fault, and in the ground, like Matt said, it really felt like a bad keeper error. It felt like he didn't jump,
even though Iwobi gave it up, though.
Well, so for me, was it Iwobi with the slack pass to Wilson?
Yeah.
Wilson's body language, and I never like to criticize Wilson, but Wilson's body language to get back in was all wrong. It straight away, just to me, it meant alarm bells straight away, because we'd switched off. It was a slack pass. Harry Wilson ambled. Seeing it back, Castagna just does not close down the ball when he should. I know he's got a man and he's thinking, oh, maybe he'll slot it, but he has to close down that ball. So I think it was a number of errors that led to the goal. I don't think it can all be placed on Leno. And I agree with Matt's point. It doesn't look as bad on telly as it did in the ground. But in the ground, I was like, I couldn't believe it actually gone in. It seemed like he'd made such a little effort to get there that I thought it had flashed wide. And then I was like, what was in the net? So it felt an odd one. But he just didn't jump. He didn't get off the floor. But no, we're not blaming the win for those keeper errors. Personally, I think all three goals were a keeper error in my opinion. But
fair point. I want to harp on something before I go to Kamal to talk about the rest of the first half, because Matt, you already mentioned we were talking about the Jedi. So Alex, I'll go to you because you just mentioned Castagna. I had my takeaways that Fulham might right now have an issue at both fullback positions until Tete returns. In the situation with Jedi, you're in the ground. Was it that noticeable with the two fullbacks here? I'm curious, Alex.
I felt much more worried about Castagna. Castagna was the one. I mean, Matoma was really good. I remember the first time we ever saw Matoma at the Cottage, we hadn't heard of him. I certainly hadn't heard of him at the time he came on as a sub. And it was like, oh my God, who's this guy? Looks amazing. And he's a hell of a footballer. He really is. And I just think he's brilliant. And he was the one I was worried about. Robinson didn't have his best game, but I wasn't worried at any point about down that side, particularly when Mente came on. So no, not for me. I mean, the other matchup that had me worried was Baleba versus our whole midfield. But
Baleba,
what a player.
I will ask Matt. I think it's a great player. Going back to, I definitely want to get your thoughts on the fullbacks. I thought, if I'm being honest, Baleba I thought was the best player on the pitch. Baleba was that good.
He gets my man of the match vote. And honestly, if I were a Brighton fan, I'd be looking at their manager and saying, why with 5 minutes to go, do you take off Danny Welbeck? Danny Welbeck was a constant threat.
Yeah.
And why would you take off Carlos Baleba, who was like a 3-person midfield in one player?
Yeah, it was
and
great.
Replace him with, and God knows we all love him because he's a nice guy, James Milner, who is 73 years old.
That's nothing left. What I looked at,
it was insane. It was like they were cruising 5-0 up and just wanted to rotate a little bit. And it was like, well, guys. Yeah. And sure enough, Josh King. So the Baleba had a situation with Kevin in the first half where Kevin tried to run past him, and Kevin's rapid,
right?
And Baleba is quick enough and strong enough to just be able to shoulder him off and get the ball back and fine. Josh King in the 91st minute faced with the same situation, and he's up against a lightweight Kostoulas, a Greek teenager.
Yeah, one right by him.
Goes around him, makes 5 yards, wins the free kick, yellow card to their guy, and we ping it in the top corner. If Baleba had been on the pitch, I don't think Josh King would even have tried to go past him. He'd have tried to spread out wide. And I thought the manager was catastrophic for them. But Baleba was, that was one of the best all-round opposition player performances I've seen in a good while. Probably Gvardiol last season or the season before, I forget whenever it was, when he got from left back for Man City was pretty incredible. But I thought that was absolutely incredible by Baleba.
Right, and I'm glad that you mentioned this, Matt. It's funny because again, going back to my takeaways, I had Marco winning the coaching battle, and I think part of it has to do with these decisions.
Yeah, the other guy forgot his boots, right? It's the team was quite nicely set up. I thought their shape in defending us, so their press was good without being frantic. So we've played against teams like the Arsenal team was terrifying. They're Martin Odegaard sprinting all over the pitch. It's sort of terrifying because of the pace of it. Brighton's shape was just really good.
Yep.
And they kept sort of trying to force us to play the ball into Berger, and then Baleba would just go and smash him.
Yeah.
And it meant that we didn't have any grip really, and we had no real way through because Raul wasn't an outlet because Dunk and Van Hecker were all over him, and Raul didn't have his best game, and I thought they were quite good. It's why Anderson's pass to Chukwueze was so impressive when it came.
Oh, it was. And we'll obviously get to that when we talk about the second half. Kamal, I want to get back involved. I apologize. So unfortunately, I'm going to give you the opportunity to talk about the rest of the half. And Fulham were second best after the goal went in. I wouldn't say heads dropped, but they didn't match the intensity of Brighton Hove Albion. What did you see after they scored the goal? I'm talking about Brighton Hove Albion.
I think they just basically took the game by the scruff of the neck. Once again, it comes back to Belieber, who's just dominating the center of the pitch. And he was also kind of making like some of our midfielders look like paper midfielders. Like, I talked about Berger earlier. Berger looked like a matchstick man. And for such a big guy, I was kind of like, I was not happy to see him fold so easy and not kind of give in. And what Matt was saying, that, Belieber was still on the pitch. A lot of the people, a lot of the other players, a lot of our side weren't so willing to take somebody so physical and so strong on. I also, I don't know. It's like, what? I mean, one of the things I wanted to say about what Matt said, which kind of stuck in my head at the end of the game, was it was like in the whole game kind of was a bit like, that Spider-Man cartoon where you got three Spider-Mans facing off each other.
Yeah.
Can you expand on that? Because I thought I kind of understood it, but I didn't.
I think I understand. Matt, go ahead.
Like we were two teams trying to play exactly the same way. Overlapping fullbacks, single target man who's ancient. Mobile midfield and quite slow centre backs. With, as it turned out, a goalkeeper that quite likes to palm it into the roof of the net in the top right-hand corner of the Hammersmith end. So, the big difference is that their squad, they dropped 200 and something million, not this summer, the summer before, and ours has still got a whole bunch of players that we brought up through the championship with us. So, I thought the key moment after the goal in the first half, and it was really, really important because it felt like it was always going to be a close game, even when they were leading, was Bernd Leno saving from Matoma, and then Castagna, who, as I said, I think he really worked his way back into the game, and he was far from perfect, but he kept on trucking, heading the ball off the line from Kadioglu.
That was
on
huge,
the follow-up.
right?
But if they'd gone 2-0 up at that point, we weren't going to catch them. So that felt a really important really, really important moment. So credit to Bernd Leno. If you make a mistake and then the next, he got tested again 3 minutes later and he made the save 1-on-1. Good times. Just as it is for Suhail telling us that we go into match 24 and 7th.
Here we go. I was waiting for the official announcement, and thank you, Suhail, for giving me that it's officially 1-1 between Everton and Leeds, meaning Fulham are still 7th.
Which, by the way, the best thing about this is being 7th when you're trying to persuade players to come and join us is a hell of a lot easier. I know that they're not idiots. They're not going to look at it and go, well, we're definitely going to, finish in the top 7.
That's huge.
But if you're down in 14th saying, if you sign, we might make Europe, it just even though it's probably only 3 points or whatever it is to 14th because it's so tight this year, if you're one of these players thinking, where do I go? It's a lot more helpful to be 7th than it is to be, lower mid-table.
Yeah, absolutely. Matt, I want to go back to you, and then we'll move on to then focusing on what you guys were discussing at halftime. You were talking about like Spider-Man, right? Just playing back at each other. I have a theory that I've had a feeling that the match that you guys saw is similar to the matches you've seen the last 3 or 4 years against Brighton Hove Albion. I don't see much difference. I think it's the style of play. The managers change, the players change, but the way it's played seems exactly the same thing.
Yep, I completely agree. And at halftime, when we got there, the only change that felt viable, because it did feel like everyone was cancelling each other out, and yet we'd made the mistake, which was, it felt like a game that should have been 0-0 at halftime.
Right.
You could argue they were probably slightly better, more on top, because they'd had the one clear-cut chance of the half, which was the Matoma chance. The one change that felt like it needed to be made probably was the Kevin change, because he actually started quite brightly the first 5 minutes, and then he just got worse and worse, and you could see him getting frustrated. And the worst thing you could see, I don't know whether they showed it on TV, but you could see a couple of times his teammates beginning to get a bit frustrated. There was a moment when Anderson was visibly frustrated with Kevin for just dribbling down a blind alley and then not getting the ball back. So I don't know. It felt like it was a really tight game.
Yep.
I got to say, I wasn't panicked. I mean, I said to Alex with about 20 minutes to go, I think we're going to win this 2-1, or we can win this 2-1, which, I'm pretty pessimistic. So it didn't feel. Yeah, sorry, quite right, Suhail.
Yeah, so Hale's right. I didn't mention it too, so that's on me.
Absolutely right.
I didn't mention
my view on this game. There were 4 chances, so each team had 2 chances. Chukwueze and Raul for us, Mitoma and the Danny Welbeck header for them, and then there were 2 long-range shots. Both of which the goalkeeper spooned into the top corner. Sucks to be Brighton, but Chukwueze put his chance away, and they didn't.
That's
but
right.
I agree. The Raul chance was probably the best chance of the whole match.
Yeah, I'm glad that he brought up the judges on top of it as
quite
always.
right, yeah.
He's always on top of it. Kamal, what were you thinking about it at halftime? What was?
I thought we were running a little bit ragged. I don't think we're Spider-Man at that point. I think we're a bit more like Ant-Man. The second
Ant-Man, okay.
part of the first half. Yeah.
Let's go through the Marvel universe. Okay.
Yeah, justice for Paul Rudd.
Just for Paul Rudd. So I wasn't. The one thing is, we were talking about stats as well. It's very. We always seem to have Brighton's number. I mean, I remember, was it 2 seasons ago we were playing them? They completely destroy us.
Yeah,
the
I
last
remember
9
that.
minutes we won, and I thought, look, there's this kind of.
Are we talking about the Manor Solomon goal at the MX?
Yeah,
is that what you're talking about?
That was great.
Where is he now? So
That's a great question. I don't even know.
No, I know that.
where is he, Matt? Come on.
He popped up the other day somewhere. I can't remember where. Was it Championship?
No,
No.
I want to say
Right where
he's
he
in
belongs.
Spain.
Has he
Maybe
gone to-
is he in Spain
Maybe Fiorentina? Did he go to?
or Italy? He's either in Italy or Spain. I don't know. He's bounced around. So good luck to him.
Fiorentina.
Is it Fiorentina?
It is Fiorentina. Okay, wow.
Check.
Interesting.
Yeah, he's on holiday. He's having a
Wow,
nice
Alex,
time in Florence.
There you go. So what else were you thinking at halftime? Then I'll go to Alex.
Oh, I kind of think that when Fulham and Brighton play, we have a bit of a deadlock game. I was not happy with Jedi, and who did a talk at the ground at the end of the game. He was laughing and had some pertinent questions by Ivan. Berry was giving him some interesting questions, but they weren't really on about his crosses. And I know my brother really has fun with the radar that Jedi has, his accuracy. He fluffed up a little bit too much, and it was scaring me that some of our on-form players weren't playing that well, and I was like moaning. I was missing Diop. I wasn't kind of too enamored by Castagna. I thought Cuenca had a brilliant last game. He was losing his rag a bit too much in this game. He looked like he was just a bit heated. But I actually thought he had quite a good game. Cuenca had relatively a good game. But I wanted to see some kind of... I was wondering, if the subs were going to be made at the beginning of the second half, as Marco had done previously. But I know that Marco's playing a game of chess right now because both him and Wilson haven't signed up. And I think they both, if they get into Europe, it's going to be a different matter. But I think they're both kind of almost doing auditions for new wage packets and new teams. And I was talking to Alex about that. I hope they both stay because they're both assets. But, it'll give, as I think Matt was saying, who wants to sign for a team when they think that the manager's going to...
Matt's right.
You flip that round. Like, you started by saying, Kamal, that the spectre of relegation is gone now, right? We're definitely not getting relegated, and even I'm going to concede that. This is,
right.
If we make these investments of getting Bob and Pepe, which Chris says is right, saying that they're injured. The squad that the next manager will inherit next year is in really good shape.
The next manager, I like it.
Well, if Marco walks away, then apart from anything else, normally we can blame the club for not backing him. But if Marco has asked for Oscar Bob and Ricardo Pepe, which because they're injured, you have to assume he is particularly keen on them, because our scouting department aren't going to pick out a bunch of people off the sickbed. These will be Marco agreed transfer targets.
I think they are.
If they get both of them, which it looks very likely we will, and maybe we'll add Arthur Atta to this. I doubt it. He scored and got an assist for Udinese this evening. Udinese they're not in threat of doing anything this year. They're 11 points off Europe. They're not going to go down. He's playing in a team. In one of his assists this evening was for Keenan Davis. If anyone remembers him from Aston Villa days,
I do remember. Yeah,
it's not great. It's like playing at Southampton. So I don't know. I think Marco's getting penned into a corner by our very active transfer work. So I'm with Wayne. I think he probably will get. He will feel like he's got more control, and he probably will sign the contract.
I think it's a wait and see game right now. Like I said, game of chess. Let's see what they do at the window.
I'm not sure we'll keep Wilson though. I think at this rate, a stupid club.
Well,
I'm going to say Everton.
Yep.
Will offer a 29-year-old a 6-year contract on 110 grand a week, and we shouldn't do that. So Harry Wilson is phenomenal form. I'd love to keep him.
I'm going to put this up here.
He should be.
He's going to get paid.
Yeah, he should be a 4-year contract with a 1-year option at maybe 100 grand a week.
Okay, so
I'm not sure I want to be paying 34-year-old Harry Wilson 100 grand a week, which is what Everton will do that because they're stupid.
Right.
And he would see the temptation of going back to Liverpool, which is where that's near enough to where he's from.
Okay, so I'll just let you guys know, and we're doing the show live, that actually someone just told me yesterday that this person hears things telling me that his agent's asking for silly money from Fulham, and that's really the delay with Fulham right now. Is he's asking for a lot of money.
What's the figure on that silly money?
I'm not at liberty to share that. Let's just say it would be it would probably be more than any other player on Fulham's team right now. So I'm comfortably saying that. So let's just say his wages would be.
That's fair enough. I mean, our best paid players, is what Emile Smith Rowe.
Leno,
and Bernd Leno.
Yeah,
Bernd Leno was a free transfer from Arsenal and needed persuading for a newly promoted club. Smith Rowe came with a huge reputation and a big framework from Arsenal. If I was Wilson, I'd be looking over at what Smith Rowe is contributing and thinking I probably deserve a little bit more than him. And that's fair enough. But
I don't blame Wilson.
I would walk away if he's saying more than 120 grand a week for more than 3 or 4 years.
See,
I think everyone has their price.
Right. Everyone has a price. That's why I'm putting this up. Harry Wilson is going to get paid. As you said, Matt, someone is going to be willing to do that. I just don't know if Fulham are going to do what he wants them to do or his agent wants them to do, or should they? That's the thing, because
the part of the problem is if he scores, I think, 5 more goals, he'll be amongst the top 4 scorers in the league. And people who do that usually get paid quite a lot.
I understand that, Kamal.
That could change things.
No, it could, but like I said, I'm one that says, I wouldn't blame him. I'm just saying he has to weigh everything. Yeah. And Fulham have to make a decision on what he is worth to them. He might be worth more money to someone else. And that just might be the reality. And then he has to make a decision. That's what I think is going on.
I think he's pitching to stay. I think he's pitching to stay.
I hope so.
Yeah, me too. I think he'll stay.
I hope so.
But I don't want to pay him 150 grand a week.
Right. I don't want to go above the highest paid Fulham player right now. I don't think that
120 Bernd Leno.
Yeah, I don't think
it's worth it. You know.
Well, again, you have to factor in the age, Kamal. You also have to factor in bringing in other players, the financial situations that you're going to have with the new rules. There's a lot to factor in.
They base it. I mean, all the player ranking and payments done about the income of the club, and so the restrictions for the club is how much net profit they're making.
Yeah, right.
But if we get into Europe,
yes, things can change, and then I think factoring in the amount of money that they're eventually going to make from the new Riverside stand and the money starting to funnel through, I think is going to help. But I just don't know how much that's going to help. All right,
we won't get the best goalkeeper in the world. We won't get Alisson, but
no, you're not.
I'm waiting for Alex. Alex does smile there.
Okay. I'm going to Alex now. Alex, what were you thinking at halftime? You can feel free to share your views on this too.
I was thinking that we were lucky to be where we were, to be honest. Raul did have a couple of chances, but after they scored, I mean, few times have I seen us so boxed in. We just could not get the ball out of our half. They were just getting it back, belabor every time pretty much.
Yeah.
And I thought we were very lucky to go in just 1-0 down. I didn't feel... I did feel like we could still win this. Absolutely. I just felt like Brighton, the amount they'd bossed us for the second half of that first half, I thought you can't afford to boss a team that much away from home and not get that second goal. So I did feel like if we get one, we the momentum will be with us and we'll get another.
Okay.
But I also thought, and probably we had a chat about whether they should do any subs. And what I think about
what
Kevin.
What do you think?
Well, you mentioned earlier about maybe he's better as an impact sub. One thing I've noticed about him, he's so much better attacking the Hammersmith end. I do think he's a player
that's interesting.
Lives off the crowd, and when he's standing a defender up right near where we sit, he just does him every time, and you can feel the fans sucking the end for him to go past him.
Well, Alex, then this kind of makes sense. I'm sorry to break in, then it makes sense.
Yeah, so I think I think that there's the possibility that he will make a really effective impact sub, especially at home, because we usually attack that end in the second half. Two, I did want to give him a run out for the second half. I didn't want to immediately cull him because I did think he deserves a little bit of a go attacking the Hammersmith end. But it was at the same time, despite saying let's give it 10 minutes.
Yep.
If the pattern didn't change, it would have to change radically because we were getting bossed for the second half of that first half. Okay. And I think we possibly over-egging the pudding how much we even deserved a draw, let alone a win. I know they didn't create that much, but, those key moments, if they got the second goal, which they nearly did on a few occasions, I don't think we were coming back into that game. Okay. And I'm sure we'll talk about the offside as well.
Yep.
They didn't come back into the game when we got the second goal, did they?
They did not.
Okay. Great. No, good stuff, guys. Alex, I'm going to go back to you because I think you're leading us in a good place. And then Kamal, I will go to you to talk about the goal from Chukwueze. But before we do that, because we're talking about what you guys were watching, those opening stages in that second half, Alex, I think it's pretty obvious Marco saw that it wasn't working and made the double substitution. How did you feel that changed? Before we talk about the goal, I'm going to go to Kamal for the goal. How much of a change did you see when Sessegnon and Chukwueze came on? Like you mentioned, Kevin didn't do badly in the first half. And then, Sessegnon had his issues, especially with his passing, I thought. How much of a change did those two? And I want to mention that Tony Gale, right before the substitute happened, was talking about that Fulham had an issue on the left-hand side, which is usually their strength.
I mean, I thought immediately we got a bit more energy. All the subs did really well. Chukwueze always gives us a lift. Again, he's another player you got to say is really, really good off the bench. He doesn't seem to be somebody that sulks to me. So, although he's definitely earned a starting berth, I think, for now. But I thought as soon as the changes were made, we looked stronger for it straight away.
Okay.
Bit of tiredness maybe as well. Robinson's not been back too long.
Right.
So, playing a lot of games, a lot of players out away for AFCON and so on, meant that we haven't had too much rotation. So it's unsurprising that some of the players coming off the bench are, fresh and managed to impact the game, which is great.
Okay, excellent. All right, Kamal, I'm going to give you the honors to talk about the goal from Chukwueze, a wonderful long pass from Anderson, tremendous long pass. I also want to mention Cuenca actually, I thought had a great pass as well. I can't remember if it's the first half or second half. Some of the passing was fantastic, these long passes. Anderson was
second half out to Wilson.
Right. Yeah, I'm sorry. It was the second half. I'm glad that you mentioned that, man. So both of them were integral. If you want to call it a strategy, it was working. Okay. So I want to get your thoughts on the goal right in front of you. It must have been right in front of you guys, the goal from Chukwueze.
Well, we were all a lot of us were frustrated about. I mean, we wanted the AFCON players just to slot back in, and we're seeing Belieber out. That was was Cameroon, and he was like busting out there, and he started the game. And we were going a little bit mad, and I know that the Brighton players were shouting Belieber all the way through. When Chukwueze came on, I noticed that on the subs he got the loudest cheer because he's seen as a lock and key guy. He's seen as somebody who can open opportunities. But I was so delighted to see Anderson doing what I really love, which he's really been good at always. These long, accurate passes from one end of the pitch right across to the other. And, for that, I was at 29 million for me. That's kind of worth it. I thought he had a very good game.
I agree.
Thought he kind of matched and held his line. And Chukwueze is just like, I don't know, he's so relaxed and chilled. And when he, the goal was just, both of the goals, not just the Wilson goal. For me, that was a brilliant goal. It was a brilliant goal because it was really, it was spot on. It had a bit of power. It was unsavable. And I kind of, it kind of changed the body language of the Brighton bench and the away fans, which I kind of noticed that the noise in the hammy end makes such a huge difference to the players. And I think we realize that more in the second
half. You guys
half.
play a major role in these matches. You have to know that. I think you know that. You play a role. They feed off of you. Come on.
Yeah. We heard it. I even saw, I saw these guys as well, the analysts. Yeah. Matt and Alex, there were moments where literally, if they weren't jumping for joy, you'd be getting an ambulance around them. They got so excited about what they saw on the pitch. The louder we go, it's very loud in the hammy end. And I was asking Ben, Holly's partner who sits 2 away from us, he actually confessed that he has the earplugs in because of the level of volume. Yeah.
That's interesting. I look at that as, and I'm sorry Ben is dealing with that, but that tells you that the crowd is extremely effective if he has to wear.
I think what you'll find, Ben sits next to Kamal, so I think he's just after some.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense too.
He's just trying to watch the game.
I love that. I love that. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. All right.
It was a very weird, that goal. It felt so incongruous. It was such a neat game of really tight patterns and triangles and overlaps and
then there you go with
one-on-one duels. It felt really like almost old school to just have the defender play. I agree with Suhail, a really good, well-placed long pass over the top.
Right. What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong
in
with
this day and age as well. Normally, Alex mentioned at the start the sort of keeper error maybe for both our goals. I don't know whether I'd go quite as far as keeper error. I think he probably could have done better. But it's quite rare that you get a long ball over the top that the defender doesn't get to, and the keeper isn't there sweeping it up. You think if that's Jordan Pickford, he'd have been, clearing that out 5 yards outside his box. And Chukwueze,
I thought it was a little sneaky with that.
Ruben was still on his line whilst Chukwueze takes a touch inside the 6 yard box and slots it home. It felt like a weird goal to score, and quite simple because it wasn't right in the corner either. It was one of those weird goals where you go, oh, that was quite simple in the end. We should have done that all game.
It was a bit under 12s, that goal.
It was, yeah. It didn't feel, for all because it was such an entertaining game. Like the energy, it felt like
it's opposite from what you guys were watching.
And then suddenly it's just, right, maybe we should just have punted it downfield and Chukwueze is quicker than their guy who can't head the ball. Great stuff. Not Wimbledon. That's different. That's the mixer, Cameron. So that Wimbledon was get a couple of meatheads, Mick Harford, Efan Okoku, Marcus Gale, Dean Holdsworth. I know my Wimbledon strikers, Carl Court, Jason Ewell, and then just get it in the box. And one of them would elbow one of the defenders, and the other one would put it in the net. This wasn't that. This was a very cultured long ball.
Cool. Okay, Matt.
It was also good. Just one other thing. It was super.
Go ahead.
Quick.
Come on.
And I don't think the defense really expected it. It just happened from nowhere, and their keeper just was kind of astonished. I think that pass came from nowhere, and it's a direct football that Fulham can play when they're allowed to play.
Kamal, you don't like the ticky-tack football, so there you go. I would imagine you must have enjoyed it.
And Wallopedia, I sit next to Holly. Okay.
Come on, by the way, on the tiki-taka thing, you're going to hate Oscar Bob. You are going to hate him. Anyway, we'll talk about.
I love Oscar Bob. I want Oscar Bob in a
Yeah, me too. But Kamal's going to hate him.
I know.
Like Emile Smith Rowe, he doesn't play a pass.
He'll be complaining. He'll be complaining. And I'll have to tell Kamal to shut up. Anyway, I'm sorry, Kamal. I didn't mean anything by that. Back over to you, Matt. I want to now focus on what happened shortly after that. You have the opportunity for Fulham to actually go ahead with that opportunity from Tom Kearney that was blocked, and then they go right back down. And you have Danny Welbeck, and it's funny because on the broadcast I watched, he looks offside, but when you see the review of it, it's kind of close. It is. It looks close. And these calls have gone against Fulham. So I'm not going to cry for Brighton Hove Albion on this, but at the ground, what were you thinking when Welbeck put that in the back of the net?
So we were all like, it's at the wrong end of the pitch. It's exactly like the Liverpool one. The only difference was the Liverpool one against us. Our players, so Cuenca particularly in that goal, appealed. So he clearly felt it was offside. This one, none of our players were appealing. Sessegnon was the last defender. He was just lying down, forlorn that he hadn't got there. To us, it didn't look like it was even a contender for offside. But it felt like... So this season, we've really moved into being in we're in the habit of being in end-to-end games where you look at Leeds home and away, the Newcastle game away where we were trying to win it. They won it in the last minute. Bournemouth, where we were trying to win it and they won it with 5 minutes to go. Sunderland at home, West Ham away, the Crystal Palace home and away games, both teams, I think, trying to win it. And, quite how we didn't win that at the at Palace. And then obviously the Liverpool game, at home when both teams were trying to win it. They thought they'd won it in the last minute and then we equalised with Harrison Reed. It felt like their go-ahead goal that was going to win the game. So if that had stood, I don't think we'd have got back into it because it was such a gut punch. No. But we're a riskier team now. So now we are more willing to go blow for blow and just stand there and swing punches and take punches. And it works out better, right? The two Leeds games this season, to win with a 90th minute goal and to lose with a 90th minute goal gets you more points than if you draw both games 0-0, which is what Parker would have done. And I quite like this version of Fulham where, we go down swinging if we're going to go down. And occasionally, one gets through the defenses like it did on Saturday and we get 3 points. Thank you very much. Okay.
Very good. All right. Alex, it's time. Okay. It's time to go to the end. It's time to go to, I mentioned that I think all the substitutions made a difference. Tony Gold mentioned that Tom Kearney came on, made a difference. Josh King made a difference. Matt's already talked about the gaffes, the decisions that Hertzler made, which are still puzzling. So it all adds up to a free kick from Harry Wilson. So I want all three of you, your view of this free kick. As I mentioned at the beginning of the show, you could see a decision of talk going between Harry Wilson and Raul. I don't know what they were talking about, but in the end, Harry Wilson takes it. And it's funny because Harry Wilson actually talks after the match that he was disappointed because the goalkeeper got to it. Could the goalkeeper have done better on this? But anyways, I want to get your thoughts on the goal.
First of all, there was debate not just on the pitch about who's taken it, but in the stands. And a couple of people either side of me that might be on this podcast right now both mentioned Raul and what a great free kick taker he was. And I was adamant and insistent that there should be a Welsh wizard on this free kick. It was set up for a left footer. It had to be Harry Wilson. And for a while, Raul looked like he was placing the ball, and then Wilson came up. Made sure the
Brighton wouldn't have got a hand to it if Raul had taken it.
So he set, once Harry had been the one to set the last ball, I was sure it was him. It was a beautiful strike. One of the things it was heading right towards us, that ball, by the way. We sit behind it, so it's almost flying in our face, that ball. And it actually, the reason that Verbruggen gets there is it actually dips about a tenth of a second before it should. Because for one moment, I literally thought that's flying right in the top corner. And it just
didn't. Yeah.
And I think Verbruggen had already half given up on it because it was absolutely flying. And then because of that little dip,
he got his hand on it.
He got his hand on it. And I think if he believed in it more, he could have easily tipped it around the post. I just think that the way it left his foot, it just felt like it was flying in. So a brilliant moment. For me, it was grand larceny in terms of the game, but I don't think it is grand larceny if we pay Wilson the money he deserves. I agree with Cameron, by the way, who says money can't buy you love. And if Harry ever watches this show, I think that is absolutely true. And, I'm convinced that if you're a footballer, what you remember at the end of the career is not, an extra 20 quid in your bank account or whatever. It is the connection you've made with the fans. He's been at Fulham for a long, long time now. He's been, the top assister in the Championship, and now he's the best player at the club without any doubt. He's by far the best player this season, and I think he should absolutely sign the contract. We should pay him fairly, which is probably, he should be the top player. He's the best player in the team. He should be the top player on the team for me. But I really, really hope he stays because he's just so important to us, and he he is. I think that moment where he 94th minute or whatever it was, he puts the ball down, whips it in the top corner. That says where he is right now. He's a player that says the
confidence level.
Shoulders, and he does it for Wales. He's done it for years for Wales. Ever since Bale retired, he was the man that stepped up and said, "I'm going to carry this team," and it's great to see him doing it for Fulham as well now. And I just hope we give him the respect he deserves and pay him.
Okay, and like I said, I'm not against paying him, Alex. I just think that they have to be careful within the structure.
I agree.
How they pay. Okay,
and who knows what his agent is asking for? He might be crazy, but I just
be asking for a lot. That's all I'm going to say.
Harry listens to Cameron. Money can't buy you love.
Okay,
it's not Alex. It's not 20 quid. He's asking for double his salary.
Okay, but here's the thing, and I'm glad that you said this. Money can't buy you everything. I don't blame a player or anyone getting the most that they can, but there's something to be said about being in the right situation. If he goes to, I'll give you an example. You said Everton. How about Leeds? If he goes to Leeds, I don't think that's a very good situation for him. It's got to be the right situation.
The only good thing about going to Leeds would be it would be pretty much the Wales national team at that point.
Fair point.
But no, he should stay with us. I mean, it's a perfect fit right now. It really is.
It's a very good fit, so I do hope he stays. But like I said, it could just come down to money. Matt, I want to get your thoughts on the goal.
I think most of it's been covered. I think the other question we were all asking ourselves was whether or not it was too far out to actually take the shot on, and whether we should be, going short or trying to find a pass around the back. Because this is Fulham. We don't score direct free kicks, right? The Premiership, the Willian one doesn't count because it was a cross, and then you're back to Zamora against Birmingham City, which was in the same.
Oh, I remember that. That was fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, I remember that. I was sitting in what was the old Riverside stand to watch that one go in. I think Damien Duff got our other goal that day, in off certainly one post, maybe both posts. But I didn't expect it to go in. I don't agree. It was absolute robbery that we won the game. It was a really close game. That absolutely.
See, I disagree with Alex too on that. I don't think it's robbery. I think it
absolutely should have been a draw. But if you take out the Ayari, I think the Ayari goal is a mistake, and I think the Wilson goal is a mistake. Both teams had two good chances, and one of the teams scored one, and the other team didn't. Right? The two goalkeeping errors and
Right.
one taken chance and two missed chances.
Right. And I want to go back to Alex about this. This isn't a smash and grab. The Manor Solomon game, that's a smash and grab. This wasn't
correct.
that.
That was horrific.
So I agree with that. Let me be clear. It wasn't a completely one-sided game for Brighton. Although I haven't seen like a 20-minute spell where we've just failed to get the ball out of our own half like we did at the end of that first half. But the reason I think it was a little bit grand larceny is, and to me, like, you know, the offside goal, for example, if they'd scored that straight away, it would have just felt like Brighton are better than us today because you know, it's like they were the better team. They created more chances. They controlled a lot of that first half. They scored, and as soon as we get a goal, bang, they go and score straight away. It would have felt like, you know, they're just better than us. And it didn't go for us, and they did miss some big chances. Leno made some great saves. And I don't, you know, even Marco.
The judge agrees with you.
To win. We didn't deserve to win. I mean, grand larceny makes it sound like they should have had the 3 points. They were probably they were the better side on the day, but they weren't miles better.
I can't believe me and Matt are on the same page. I love it.
Yeah. And also, if your manager decides to shit the bed, then that's not on us. That's on them. You know, if Marco had said, you know what this needs, you know, is a little bit of, and then some, you know, random, you know, Kusi Asari as a sweeper, you know, and we lose, then we'd all be going nuts at Marco. The reality is they've got the problems and we don't. We got Harry Wilson.
The judge is with me. He's convicting on grand larceny. Thank you.
The judge was talking about some person called Mandy who, you know, can't buy you love, but do a lot of other things earlier. I think he wants to be careful on that. I think it might have been a typo for money, but it came out as Mandy.
I think Suhail meant money, but
well, let's hope.
Kamal, I'm going to give you final word on the goal.
The goal.
The winner.
So if I refer back to my colleague over here, which is talks about the dispute between Raul and Wilson, and let's. He's going to pick you up. You're not going to forget about that.
Man, he's not going to let that go. Just so
he's not going to go.
Quite right.
And so, but I mean, you know, Matt point. Well, I mean, we always remember that amazing goal that Raul scored against the USA on that free kick, and he's a free kick master. And let's see. I mean, at the end of the game, with a pint in his hand. I hope you don't mind me saying that, Matt. He said, "Now I'm not sure on this, but I'm not sure, quite sure, but 99.8% sure." That is the only goal that Harry Wilson scored from a free kick. And that was for Fulham. And I looked it up on Wikipedia, and they said that Wikipedia or ChatGPT said that Wilson scored 2 goals from free kicks for Fulham, but it didn't know the other one.
He scored one in a pre-season match, but that doesn't count. So I think I get the flowers there.
So, so when he took up to do it, a lot of, you know, to be honest, if he does more free kicks in the future, it's just people are going to be begging for him to do it. But let's not forget also the little run that Josh King did to win that free kick. And that was a very good sign. It was a very good substitution that was made because the speed was brought back into the game. And I don't think, you know, it was a very evenly matched game. That you know, even Marco said, you know, I think we probably deserved a draw on that. But you don't deserve a draw if, you know, the Welsh Wizard comes on and practices some Hogwarts magic the last 2 minutes of the game. That's a win.
It's a win.
Yeah,
it's a win.
I know. I noticed that Alex was almost crying. You know. We're going to have to take the handkerchiefs out.
It was a hell of a moment. That was a great moment. 92nd minute winner.
Come on. Listen, what's great about doing the show with you guys is that I've now recently been able to share with you and for myself your thoughts on these magic moments. You guys have had several this season. It's been great.
Sure.
Seriously.
So there's been a slow build because the start of the season there were none of them.
It was
a couple of own goals and that was it.
But since then, Matt.
Amazing.
Yeah, well, it really has.
Russ, were you crying at the end of the Patriots game?
I was okay. I will just share this, and then we'll go to the man of the match. Okay, I will share this. I I will just tell you guys, as I've mentioned before, I watched the Patriots game in 3 separate rooms, my family. When it was basically when the Patriots had won the game, we all conversed back in our main family room, and my heart was shaking. My wife's heart was shaking. It was pumping so hard. That adrenaline was insane. So I wasn't crying. I wasn't crying, but it was
quite a hard pitch for the extra people on Patreon when your house is so big that the family is dispersed across the.
Okay.
Same room. That's what he meant.
Okay.
What Goldman as in Sachs.
Okay. Oh, wow. Hey, I wish, man. I wish I'm not related as far as I know, but maybe I should look into that. Okay. Okay. Very good, guys. Listen, we do have to wrap this up. Let's go to the man of the match. Let's go around the room. Alex, man of the match. I know who you're going to say. Go ahead.
Anderson. No, I'm joking.
Oh.
Verbruggen. No, I'm joking. It's Harry Wilson. Just for that moment of magic.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, Matt, you've already said Baliba, but that's for the other side. So for Fulham?
So for us, I actually would go Anderson. I thought Anderson did a really good job. The assist was obviously game-changing, and I thought he helped to steady Cuenca, who was having a tough game, and steady Castagna, who was having a tough game. I thought he was excellent, and he and Welbeck they were great battles.
Yeah,
the old wily strikers, Welbeck and Raul, against some experienced pros at centre back, I thought made for really good viewing. So yeah, I give it Anderson, but it was a close contest.
Okay, I don't think Chaz is serious. He says Castagna. I think that's a joke because Castagna was not good in this match. But okay, all right. Over to you, Kamal. Remember, the judge is watching. Are you going to be on the fence, or are you going to make a decision?
All these MOTMs and predictions, you just all drive me mad. I mean, who's going to win the Super Bowl? You're not going to say who's going to win the Super Bowl.
Patriots are going to win the Super Bowl.
Right,
I'm going to tell you right now. I'm not going to hold back on that.
So, I mean, I'm here kind of with.
All right.
I'm the best person on the pitch, Baliba, who's just unbelievable. They were, the Brighton fans were singing that song. I don't know, that Justin Bieber song. Was that Baliba?
Yep.
And I would say Anderson because I thought he was stunning. He was like the best he's been all season. But, the game, the only person that people were talking about at the end of the game was the Welsh Wizard again.
Yeah, Harry Wilson.
Yeah.
And I went with Harry Wilson too, so that will make you happy, Alex. I did go with Harry Wilson. Listen, when you win a match like that, when you are the difference of winning the match, whether it's one moment or 5 moments, it's the moment. It goes to Harry Wilson. For me, man of the match because of the moment. And that's a huge thing. Not everyone has the ability to do what he did. Raul has the ability to. So I don't think it's crazy that they're fighting over who's going to take it. Both of them can do that. Both of them can score on that. But Harry Wilson, I think, if I remember correctly, because I saw the interview, Alex, and then we'll wrap this up, I don't think he's done that yet. He's been known to be able to do this for free kicks. This might be the first one he's actually gotten in the back of the net with Fulham. Is that correct?
Yeah, apart from that preseason friendly, as Matt said. But other than that, first one for Fulham. He did a lot for Bournemouth, I think, one season. He got
I thought
Bournemouth in one season. And
I was going to say, I know he's done it before in the Premier League. I know
quite a few times.
I know he's done it in the Championship with Derby. I remember when he did it for Derby, but I don't think he'd have done it for us. So it's good that he actually has done it for us. All right,
there will be many more.
I hope you're right, Alex. Great show. Before we go, final thoughts. Let's go around the room. Alex, final thoughts before we wrap this up.
Slightly pessimistic, but I would just say let's really, really enjoy this moment. 7th in the league is great. The next few games are tricky. I hope we'll beat Everton at home, but we've got Man United, Man City, and is it Newcastle away? I can't remember. Sunderland. Yeah, tough away game. So really important to enjoy this moment. And I hope I'm surprised, and we'll do a bit better in the upcoming games.
Okay, Alex, just keep in mind we're 2 points off of Liverpool right now. Just keep that in mind.
I know exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And if we beat Man United, we're 1 point off the Champions League.
There we go.
Yeah.
Matt, final thoughts before we go.
I'm gonna reverse roles here, be more optimistic. So
There we go.
none of the other teams around us are looking that great in terms of form. I'd say Newcastle are probably the biggest threat to us in 7th.
Yeah.
Our next home games are Everton, Tottenham, West Ham, and Burnley. I think we win all of those.
I agree with Matt.
So, you know, I agree. We couldn't really have timed our trip to Man United worse. They look on fire.
They do look good. They do.
And
look
Man
good.
City is just a nonsense game that we're always going to lose, and I've just made peace with that. But Sunderland, I think, aren't as they're not as amazing as they had been, and those next 4 home games, I think we should win.
Yep.
All of those. I think we can get Thomas Frank fired, Nuno Espirito Santo fired, and hopefully we can finish it off with getting Scott Parker fired.
Oh my God!
Be that little meme of us going down the corridor as the Grim Reaper knocking on doors. That can be Fulham FC. So here we go.
Okay, I do want to mention, especially for the Everton match coming up, no Jack Grealish. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, honestly, he's all fart and no poo anyway. He's really not that good. Iliman Ndiaye is their best player by miles.
He is. That's a good point, man. I'm going to go to you, Kamal. Final thoughts.
For Fulham, I mean, other than City, I'm really looking forward to the United game. Other than I got a few of my United mates who are watching this. By the way, saying hello to Finn, who's from Bournemouth, who's now listening to the podcast, who was talking to all of us at the end of the game, that journalist who goes to all the away games. So hi, Finn. I know you're watching. That's nice. You're making an effort to do that. I think that all the games are winnable. I think United game's going to be super exciting. We've beaten all the teams other than City.
Yep.
And I think that we should just learn, as Fulham fans, learn to enjoy ourselves for the rest of the season.
I agree.
Sit back and relax and stop trying to manage and control every aspect of the game. I think let's just let us watch and enjoy as fans. You know.
I agree there, Kamal. I do want to mention before we go that I actually have a very wonderful interview plan that I am recording on Wednesday. It's going to be a preview to the Manchester United match. I'm sure you guys will remember this journalist. I am interviewing this journalist as a preview. It is Simon Peach is making his return to Cottage Talk, who used to cover Fulham and now covers Manchester United. He'll be on Cottage Talk, so I thought I would mention. Okay. He's a great guy, and I was just contacted. I did it with him for the first match, and he wants to come back on. And I said, I'm going to have you back on, Simon. So he'll be on Cottage Talk to preview.
Ask him for a prediction.
I will ask him for a prediction. Do you want to give me a prediction now?
As annoying as Alex. I mean, does anybody want to give a prediction to that game?
Okay, fine.
I think we'll lose 2-1, but I think we'll give a good account of ourselves.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. I know. I don't think it's going to be that. I think it's going to be. We could win 2-1. I think. I think that's United in for a surprise. I think.
Okay. I think it'll be 3-1 United. Sorry.
Sorry, that was too much. I'm sorry. What was your prediction?
3-1 to Man U. I'm afraid. I really hope I'm wrong. I hate them.
Okay.
But,
okay, I'm not going to give my prediction yet, but I like Suhail, so I'll just.
Russ, do you think we're going to come 7th?
I predicted 7th, not this season, the last 2 seasons. I'm not going there, Matt. I'm not.
Exactly.
I will say this.
This is how
I will revisit this conversation with you, Matt, after the transfer window has closed. Then I will answer your question. Okay. If they get the players, if they get 2 or 3 players that are impact players, the players that could be the ones that we're hearing, then yes. If they don't, the answer is probably no. But they need reinforcements to go along with what they have. I'm talking about Fulham. So we shall see. All right. I got to wrap this up before the wife kills me, guys. So, and I said that on this show. It is time to wrap it up. For the guys from the Hammersmith end, I'm Russ Goldman. Thank you as always for watching and listening to Cottage Talk.